the atlas that allows for nodding. That's very true. Yes, okay. So I believe you mentioned about these points. It has, for example, it has orbits or eye sockets that house and protect the eyes. The sockets also allow for the eyes to rotate. You're able to turn your eyes from one side to another, so that you're able to rotate your eyeballs. Then there is the nasal cavity, okay? And the nasal cavity protects the olfactory. Olfactory organs are responsible for smell. So it has the nasal cavity protects the olfactory organs, okay? It has we have talked about perforations. That's how we talked about. We have talked about the occipital condyles that are on the posterior side. If you look at the outer surface of the bones of the cranium, they provide a large surface area for attachment of muscles, of the muscles that are found in the head region, and etc. There are so many adaptations of the skull. So it is the structure. For example, you have the nasal cavity that protects the olfactory organs. Some of them don't have a direct modification. Like, for example, the nasal cavity. So those are some of the adaptations. Then you talked about, after you talked about the then from there, now before we move from the skull, you can be asked a question about the views. Okay, views is the various sides that you're able to see the bones or the skull. Somebody has said that the occipital condyles, if you look at my cat, they are found, occipital condyles are found, you know, where the neck starts. There is the first bone of the cervix, the first cervical vertebra that is called the atlas, articulates with the head, with the skull behind here. There are structures that are found there called occipital condyles. That part, somebody has called it the posterior side. Okay, posteriorly. Sawa, posterior side. Iko hapa nyuma. Sawa, posterior side. So what name do we give to the front part of the head? If behind here, it's called the posterior side. So if I look at you, the side where the face is, what is the name of the face side? We have views. Yeah. So the rear side is the posterior. So what about the front side? Somebody? Front side. Anterior side. So what about the upper side of the head? Which you used to carry things, some things. How do you call it? Coxswain inaitwa utosi. In English, what do you call that part? In terms of views. The upper side of the head. Yes? The upper side, the dorsal side. So, dorsal. And then the lower side now, when you're viewing from the lower side, now we can call it the ventral side. Ventral, the lower side. So the front view of the skull, the front side is the anterior. The back side is the posterior. The upper side is the dorsal side. The lower side, from kidevu hapa chini, is called now the ventral. Please note that. Then we have the side view. So that side view is called the lateral view, like the one that is in the second part here. That's the lateral. When you look at it from one side, lateral view. And you can see that the skull is made up of so many bones that are fused. The joints that are formed here along these points are fixed joints. Okay. Sawa. So I hope we are there. Then you guys talked about the rib cage. And I know that you said that it consists of the rib bones and the sternum. Of course, there are cartilages that attach the rib bones to the sternum. But it's mainly the rib bones and the sternum. The sternum consists of 3 bones fused together. And then about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bones are directly attached to the sternum. Around 5 rib bones are directly attached to the sternum. The rest are fused. The rest of the bones of the sternum are joined to some point here together to form the fossa, a fossa in the sternum. Okay. The main function of the sternum is to protect the heart and the lungs. That's the main function. And also it enhances inhalation and exhalation. At the rear side of the sternum, the bones that are attached to the rib bones in the vertebral column are called the thoracic vertebra. They're called the thoracic vertebra. So before I move to the next part, when I want to talk about the bones of the vertebral column, I want to know if there is any question at that point. Is there any question at that point? Any question? Okay, seems there isn't one. So I want us to talk about the vertebral column. Now, all of us know, all of us have a back. Okay, all of us have a back. And if you touch the middle of your back, you will feel a column of bones that run directly from your neck to down here at the coccyx. The coccyx is found at the region where your buttocks start, in the middle here. Now, the vertebral column consists of the vertebrae bones. Now, the main functions, the main parts or the main subdivisions, or we can say that we have 5 different types of bones of the vertebral column. We have the cervical vertebra that are found in the neck region. We have the thoracic vertebra that are found in the thorax region, around the chest region. So from the back side of your chest region, they're the ones that are attached to the bones of the ribs. And we have the lumbar vertebra that are found around your stomach region. Sacral vertebra that are the bones that are found around your pelvic region. And then the caudal vertebra that now is below there where you feel the coccyx, where your vertebral column ends. Now, in between the bones of the vertebral column are discs. There are discs called intervertebral discs. They separate one vertebral bone from the other vertebral bone. One of the functions is to absorb shock, that in case there is sudden movement in the vertebral bones, they're able to absorb that kind of sudden movement to avoid any pain or any breakage. That is the intervertebral disc. Number two, they reduce friction as you turn around, as you walk around. When you carry a load on your head, that the weight of the load is distributed in your vertebral column to reduce friction and also to absorb. Then the intervertebral discs also make the vertebral column flexible, allowing for you to be able to move, or allowing the vertebra to be able to move. That's why when you are doing some exercise and you're trying to stretch, you can feel some cracking sounds. When you move, they allow for flexibility, so that you're able to allow movement. Now, these bones of the vertebral column, they have something called a basic structure. Basic structure is they have some components that are common for all the vertebral bones. Okay, one of them is that they have the neural spine. They have some from my image here. They have the neural spine. I'm seeing some message here. Some people are not in class. Okay, they have the neural spine, and see, and this is found. Now, I want you to know that if you stand like a cow, for example, your body has two sides. The part that is towards your belly and the part that is on the upper side, the back side. Now, the part towards your belly is called the ventral side. The part that is on your back side is called the dorsal side. Okay. You remember when you were talking about the fish, we looked at the size of the fish, and on the lower side, we said that we have the ventral region, and on the upper side have the dorsal region. That's where we have the dorsal fin on the upper side, and the lower side we have the ventral fins, or the pelvic fins. I want you to remember that. So the neural spine is found on the back side, on the dorsal side. Okay, back side. If you touch your back, utasikia tu kama kuna vitu zimetokelezea hapo nyuma. That's the neural spine. If you look at a cow, utaona kama kuna tumilima tuko hapo juu ya mgongo. Those are neural spines. Then we have the neural arc that surrounds the neural canal. We have the transverse processes that increase service area for attachment of bones. We have articular facets. I will show you. We have pre and post. I will explain that. We have the articular facet. I want you to look at them first and appreciate them. We have the neural canal, where the spinal cord passes, and we have the centrum of the body. Let me see, I'm seeing okay. So I think you guys are coming so late to class. Okay, Mr. Umbiro, you are there. Okay. Now, so I said that all the vertebral bones have a basic structure. All the vertebral bones of the vertebral column will have a structure called the centrum. All of them, centrum. Centrum is this structure here. This structure here. And it's also called the body. It forms bulk of the bone. Now, I've said all, but there's a disclaimer that a bone, like the first bone of the vertebral, I'm going to see the atlas, doesn't have the centrum. But sometimes some of them will have a reduced one. So generally, we use a general assumption that the bones of the vertebral column have a centrum, which forms bulk of the bone. It forms a basis where one bone lies on another, which is a column. Now, this centrum here, as you can see, it is a strong and solid piece. So it is on the surface of the centrum where you'll find intervertebral discs. And these discs, we say that they are shock absorbers. Okay? So the function of the centrum is to offer support, to withstand compression. That's why one bone, the weight of the whichever part of, if it is, for example, the bones of the lumbar vertebra, the weight of the upper part of the body, all of it will be on them. And so they will be able to withstand that compression or that weight, depending on the force applied on them. Okay. Ukibeba kitu kwa kichwa, some heavy material, and you are applying pressure on the vertebral column. So to withstand that pressure, you have now the centrum or the body. Number two, the centrum offers surface for attachment of the transverse processes. These are the transverse processes. So you can see these structures here from that diagram. Now, what is the function of the transverse processes? Transverse processes offer large surface area for muscle attachment. They just increase the area on which the muscles of the back region are attached. They are simply lateral projections from the centrum. We have the neural canal. Neural canal is this hole that is at the center of the bones of the vertebral column. The size of that hole depends on the diameter of the spinal cord. From the neck region, the spinal cord comes with the largest diameter and reduces as you go down. So the neural canal of the bones of the neck region will always be wider than the neural canals of the bones of the lumbar vertebra as you move down, or even the sacral vertebra. But then the whole essence is that this hole here, called the neural canal, is to allow for passage of the spinal cord. And it's found in all in the bones of the vertebral column. Then we have this part here called the neural arc. As you can see, it is surrounding, it is here, and you see it's on the side here, and on the lower side here, it is replaced by part of the centrum. This part here covers around, it forms a covering around the neural canal. So what is its function? It protects the spinal cord because it is surrounding the neural canal. And so it protects what passes through the neural canal, that's the spinal cord, from mechanical damage. Okay. Then we have talked about the transverse processes. Of course, the neural spine, I told you, ukinama hivi, pata mtu akinama wakati ametoa shati, utaona kama kuna vitu tumilima mulima tunawakaa hapo katikati ya mgongo. Kama ukiangalia ng'ombe mwenye amekonda kama mbuzi, utaona hizo vitu hapo. They are called the neural spines. Ndio hii hapa. These are neural spine here, this part here. Okay. And that neural spine also offers large surface area for attachment of muscles. Okay. And the neural spine of the thoracic vertebra is longest amongst the spines of all other vertebral bones in whichever animal species that you're having. For example, if it's man, if you compare the neural spine of the thoracic vertebra with the rest of the spines of other cervical vertebrae, it will be the longest. So, and that question about that was asked in 2013 biology platform. We'll be able to have a view of it with the time. We have the articulating facets, as you can see here. We have articulating facets. They are called articular facets. We have articular facets that are found on the upper side. As you join this vertebral column, like you are seeing in this, so there are bones attached from the upper side, and they're the ones that attach from the lower side, for example. So we have the articulating facets on the upper side, and we have the articulating facets on the lower side. Those found on the upper side are called pre-zygapophyses. They are the first pre-attachment point. Those that are formed on the lower side, they are called post-zygapophyses. So they are points of articulation with adjacent bones of the vertebral column. Okay. So they are bones where the adjacent bones of the vertebral column attach. Now, next time we will not allow late coming. We will just leave you to be in the waiting room. So, Ms. Ombiro, please, you can take a roll call. Sorry. Ms. Ombiro, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. For the rest of the students, as we take the roll call, kindly note that reporting time, a number of you are reporting very late. You know, we wanted to start the classes at 8, but we moved it to 9 to enable you be on holiday and come a little bit late. But now, if at 9 you come at 9:30, it means that even if we move it to 10, you still come at 10:30. That it's not a very good picture, especially students of Alliance High School who are known to follow a strict code of behavior, character, and the like. So nataka tuelewane kwamba next week we make it the best. Is that possible, boys?
Yes, Mwalimu.
Yes.
Mwalimu.
Yes.
Please. Because Mwalimu is on time, starts exactly the right time. So let's try and match Mwalimu. You can't be coming in the middle of that. So let's take a roll call very quickly. Look at your screen right now. And when you see the roll call, confirm your class and submit. So from Monday, we only allow 10 more minutes into the class, then we enable the waiting room. So anyone coming late will be left in the waiting room, probably to find out why. We shall do individual check. We can take them seriously. The topics being covered here will not be covered again in school. Just understand that. We have 191 out of 212 who have responded. We still have about 12 boys. At 196 out of 212, some have not responded yet. At 198, some people wait until it's too late before you can respond. You know, we're capturing even the time you responded. If you look at that sheet I'm sharing, shows each time what time you responded from the time of the poll. So we have some doing as late as now. It's something that takes you less than 2 seconds, you're done. So 200, 201. So we stop at that point. Thank you, Malim. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Now let's proceed. So we are talking about the basic structure. If you want to look at a vertebral bone, what are the things that you're likely to see in them? So we are on the these articulating facets. You see, these are bones that are continuous. They attach, or they follow a given order, and they form a continuous column. So they lie on one another. Zinalaliana. Yeah. So the one okay. Let me see if I will find a better image to use in explaining this. So we have articulation from the upper side. Articulation from the upper side. For example, look at this bone here. Articulation from the upper side and articulation from the lower side. So bone ya juu in touch from the upper side, na bone ya chini attach from the lower side. So the upper side, it will attach at some points that have been exposed by the lower bone. So those parts that are on the upper side, they are called prezygopovices, facets of attachment. And those that are on the lower side, they are called the postzygopovices. If kama umeangalia acrobats when they are doing their game, lafu wanaruka mmoja anakanyaga mwingine kwa shoulders, na mwingine anakanyaga mwingine kwa shoulders zake. So let us assume huyo wa katikati is the bone that is being attached to. So yule wa juu akikanyaga yule wa katikati, shoulders. So the shoulders for this middle person, they are like the prezygopovices. The upper side, the person is using to attach to the upper person. Huyo wa katikati anakanyaga yule mwingine kwa shoulders akitumia nini ya miguu yake, the soles of the feet. So the soles of the feet ya uzi ya katikati, they act as the postzygopovices in articulating with the other side. Don't know if you get me. I want you to understand the prezygopovices and the post. Pre are on the upper side, post are on the lower side. Are you guys getting that?
Yes.
Nani haelewi hiyo? Nani haelewi? Yeah. So the zygapophysis, besides allowing for articulation in the adjacent bones of the vertebra, they form sites for muscle attachment. So muscles are attached to the zygapophysis. So when we talk about the intervertebral disc, we say that it's made up of cartilage and is able to connect two bones, restricting, preventing from rubbing against one another, enhancing flexibility, and also acting as a shock absorber. So before I make any step from here and start describing individual bones, I would like to have a question from any of you, if there is any question. Are we moving together ama nafanya kuimba hapa?
We are together.
Yeah, okay, good. So now we come and start describing individual bones of the vertebral column. We have the cervical vertebra. A cartilage is not a bone. I think I've repeated that one severally. So a bone is ossified. A bone is strengthened with calcium and phosphates. A cartilage is not. That's why a cartilage is soft. I don't know if you, kama you are a carnivore here and you eat other animals in the form of meat. So kama ni kuku unakula nini, inaitwa nini, mguu ya kuku. Kuna hiyo junction yenye mguu ya kuku inashikilia to the body kwa pelvic girdle. Ukikula hapo inakuwa soft, yani inakuwa crunchy. Ukitavuna ina feel a little bit crunchy. that is the cartilage. Cartilage is very different. If you try to break a cartilage and a bone, a cartilage inatafunika inakuwa crunchy. A bone inakuwa iko hard. So a cartilage is not a bone. Are we clear? Somebody asked that question. Are we clear?
Yes, thank you.
That's why we say that the vertebral column is made up of bones and cartilage. And the endoskeleton is made up of bones and cartilage. That means those are two different things. That was how. I hope we are there. So there are 5 cervical vertebra. Sawa? And Kina Kevin Kibet are coming here late and they're asking for me to prove them. So today we will. By the way, for me, I'll always start the lesson exactly at 9 because that is the time the lesson should start. So if you come past that, then you'll get us along the way. So there are 5 cervical vertebra. Not 5 vertebral types of vertebral bones that are found in the vertebral column. We have the cervical vertebra. I told you before that they are found in the neck region. So hiyo neck yako toke penye imeanzia karibu na kichwa mpaka hapa karibu na shoulders hapa, the cervical vertebra. There are 7 in number. 2 are special. The first one is called the atlas. The second one, the axis. The rest are called other vertebral bones. We have the thoracic vertebra. Each chest yako hapo nyuma, the back side. We have the thoracic vertebra. So they have a very long neurospine compared to the rest of the bones in your vertebral bones. Then we have the lumbar vertebra. So I think I'm not going to admit people again here. The lumbar vertebra around your stomach region. You have the sacral vertebra below the lumbar vertebra hapa kwa pelvic girdle. Hapa penye sasa niwaambia your buttocks start around this region here. Okay. Then huko chini kuna bone tungine kidogo unaona caudal vertebra, the coccyx, for example in man. So for animals that have the tail now zinaendelea, they become long. The cervical vertebra, I say that they are found in the neck region. Now, what are some of the features that are specific, spatial, distinguishing for the cervical vertebra? Now, the one I want you to use as the first one, that is common for all the vertebra, the cervical vertebra, is that they have vertebraterial canals. Let me show you. I want to believe I have an image here. Are you seeing my screen? This is the first bone. It's called the atlas. Are you seeing some holes besides the big hole there where the spinal cord passes? Are you seeing some 2 holes? Hapa ziko kama za macho. Have you seen that? They look like eye orbits. Seeing that?
Yes.
Those are vertebraterial canals. Let me show you again another bone. Yeah. This one is still the atlas. This is the atlas having different views, and you can see holes in it. This is the axis, the second bone. The first one you can see a hole. There's a hole that you can see in the first one. I want to try and get, if you can see, these are drawn one. Kuna tumacho hapa, the second one, there are things like holes hapa. They're called vertebraterial canals. That's the axis. Those are the 2 special bones of the vertebral column. The rest are almost the same. If you look at this one here, sorry, look at this one, for example, here. The other bones of the vertebral column, there are guys disturbing here, coming late. These ones are the vertebraterial canals. This person, they're calling them the transverse foramen, they're vertebraterial canals. I hope you can see here. I'm showing you images. These are there are 5. The structure is like this. So all the bones of all the cervical vertebra, they have those holes. besides the main hole here, where the neural canal, we have the vertebral canals there. Now you ask yourself, so what is the function of the vertebral canals? Is for the passage of the neck blood vessels and nerves, okay, or the vertebral arteries. If you read from your KLB. Number 2, distinguishing factor there is that they have branched transverse processes. They're transverse processes. These parts, these ones are not very much branched, but they have some small depression. The axis, then the atlas are not much branched. They don't show much branching. But as you can see here, this one here, there's some little branching for axis. You can see from E and F there. Then come and see the other vertebral bones. Here, hapa. You look at these transverse processes here. They are branched. That's one of the distinguishing factors of the vertebral bones. So, besides that, those are the two main ones. They have a very short neural spine. Very short neural spine. Neural spine is the part that is found on at the dorsal side. The dorsal side is side ya mgongo huko nyuma. Zinaangalia huko nyuma. This supposed to be this part here. It is very short. It is short. So this one, if you look at it, it is short. Look at this part here. It is short. Sawa. This one here. Where is it? In the other bones. This one here. It is short neural spine. So I'm not liking this late coming. I'm not really liking it. I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it. But you see, you're the ones who learn. You can decide to just be there to set your phone and just join anytime to show that you attended. But then what do you gain after that? Now, what are the adaptations of the cervical vertebra to their functions? Now, I want us to use one at a time. Because there are two spatial cervical vertebra. We have the atlas and the axis. They have spatial features. And then we have the other cervical vertebra, which are 5. So I want us to start. I don't want us to use this format that I've used. I want us to use one at a time. For example, if somebody asks you, this bone is called the atlas. Okay. How is it adapted to its functions? For example, that's a question somebody can ask you. How is the atlas adapted to its functions? Somebody to try atlas. Let me show you why it has so many images. These are the many views of the atlas. Many views. I will tell you about the views later. I want you to look at this bone and tell me how it's adapted to its functions. Somebody. I want to see answers. Malcolm Washira.
We can see that it has vertebral canals for passage of blood vessels and nerves.
Of course, it has vertebral canals. Though that's common for all the bones of the vertebral column. Of course, that's an adaptation for it, but that is common. So which one do you think separates it from the rest? Ukiangalia, from the rest of the vertebral bones? Because that is an adaptation for it. Of course, it is true. It has vertebral canals for passage of the vertebral blood vessels. and that's to facilitate the supply of nutrients and removal of metabolic wastes. True. But which ones are distinguishing? Which one make it special? Emmanuel Muturi.
It has the neural canal is wide for the passage of large spinal cord in the next.
So it has actually the widest neural canal. So for the passage of the spinal cord. And the spinal cord is very thick at the neck region. Cheptumo, Andrew.
It has broad and wing-like transverse processes that offer a large surface area for attachment of neck muscles.
So it has broad and wing-like transverse processes. You can see they are broad and wing-like for attachment of muscles of the neck. I've seen two hands. I'm not sure who. Because now I have to I'm not able to see because kuna hii side ya admitting that inasumbua. Who is this was raised the hand? Sydney Matthew.
It has articulating facets that articulate to the base of the skull, which allows for up and down movement of the head.
Now, that's a good point, but I want us to understand it well, okay? It has articulating. They are called Matthew, Sydney. They are called okay. Okay, no, they're not. Oh, occipital corners are found in the skull. So they have bean-shaped facets or depressions that are used to articulate them with the occipital condyles of the skull. It will be better if we put it this way, because the occipital condyles are found on the upper side. Okay, upper side. Because ukiangalia hii bone, if you, I don't know, are you able to see my projection when nimeandika views? Are you able to see them well? Views. These are the views, various sides of the bones. On the upper side of the cervical vertebra, it appears as it looks hapa. Hii imepigwa picha kutoka juu, side ya juu. So these are the depressions, the articulating facets. Ukiangalia bone kutoka juu, side ya juu, unaiangalia from the anterior side. Anterior, side ya juu ni anterior side. Ukiangalia kutoka chini ni posterior side. Okay? So kutoka juu, your diagram it looks like from the upper side. Those are the bean-shaped, or they are articulating facets with the occipital condyles. So you say that from the anterior side, they have bean-shaped depressions to articulate the occipital condyles. Because ukisema tu Matthew, ukisema they have articulating facets to articulate with the occipital condyles of the cranium. So somebody will ask you from which side, from where? Is it from every side? So it should be from the anterior side. So from the anterior, from the upper side. Matthew, tuko sawa? Charles raise his hand. Charles Buru. A question?
I had a question.
Yes.
Earlier on, you had said that anterior view is the front view and the dorsal view is the upper view. But right now you have said that anterior view is the upper side view.
A good point to note. So it was a different part altogether. We are talking about the cranium. So we are talking about the cranium. So the view of the cranium has some difference with how you view the vertebral bones. So Mburu.
Yeah.
In the cranium, remember we said that the face side. Let me try to go there. I was expecting that. So Mburu, thanks for bringing it. So I was expecting that. When you look at the cranium, the views of the cranium, they have a little difference. So when you look at the front side of the cranium, or face, the anterior side. So the back side is the posterior side. The upper side is the dorsal part, and the lower side is the ventral side. That is the cranium. So Mburu tunaelewana? Hiyo cranium
Yes.
inakuanga hivyo. And ukiangalia from kwa side kama hii ni lateral view. Sawa sawa. But sasa the orientation of the other part of the body is different from the way the cranium is structured. That's why there's a little change. Sawa sawa Mburu.
Yes.
So I knew that one was to come. So so we are here. I hope now we are together. So anterior side, nimewambia sasa the atlas it articulates with the occipital condyles of the skull from its upper side, the anterior side. So the anterior side ndio kuna an articulating facet with the occipital condyles. I hope we are clear with that. Tuko sawa? Tuko sawa Mburu?
Yes.
Yes. So atlas it has a very wide neural canal. Okay, it has a wide neural canal, wider. Actually, the comparative wider. How you should put it. It has we've talked about the vertebral canals. That's common for all the vertebral. It has broad and wing-like transverse processes to provide large surface area for attachment of neck muscles. And then it has those articulating facets on the anterior side to articulate with the occipital condyles of the skull. We are clear that with that. Now, this is how it appears. So if you're told to, this can be asked because I saw a question like this in 2013, but they were using the thoracic vertebra. So ukiangalia kutoka juu nimwambia ukichukua hiyo uiweke side ya juu ni anterior side. Sawa sawa. This is the lateral view. Lateral view. Sawa sawa. Ventral view inside ya mbele. Ukichukua hiyo bone, angalia hiyo side ina face kifua. Okay, so you see ina face kifua. Ina face nini? Ina face esophagus. Okay? That's the ventral view. So ina face esophagus, hiyo ndio ya mbele, ventral. Hapa ina face hii nini voice box. Hiyo ya mbele. Then on the ukiangalia kutoka nyuma, the dorsal side. Dorsal side. That's how it appears. Hiyo side ya back side of your neck. Ukichukua hiyo bone, ukitoa hiyo nyama yako utabaki ikikaa hivi dorsal side. Sawa sawa. Ukiangalia kutoka chini inakaa hivi. Inakaa hivi posterior side. Sawa sawa. So my question now to you, look at this image here. The question that I projected, the image that I projected, it's not a question, the image that I projected, that I put as an image of the atlas. Okay. Now, which view is that? Which view is that?
Posterior.
Yeah?
Posterior.
Posterior side. Yes, that's the posterior side. That's the posterior view. Are we together?
Yeah.
Sawa. Okay. Ni sawa. So, that is the atlas. Sawa. It is the atlas. So, most atlas don't have a centrum. But remember, we said that centrum is something that cuts across all the vertebral columns. So some of them will have, but it's reduced. Then they have a wide neural canal. Those are the characteristics. They have a short neural spine, very short. They have wing-like transverse process, you can see. Sawa. And they have wide on the lower side. On the posterior side, they have very wide articulating facets. And these articulating facets will articulate with the axis on the lower side, axis. So functions of the atlas, of course, is to support the head, and the joint between the atlas and the occipital condyles allows for nodding movement, allows you to nod. So, and also this atlas also, it has transverse processes, and this provide a large surface area for muscle attachment of neck muscles, of course. Okay. So we go to the axis vertebra. So the axis looks like this in an image. You go look at the axis from the anterior side. I don't know how to deal with this. I want this away like this. From the anterior side, from the upper side, ukiangalia axis inakuanga hivi. Ukiangalia kutoka juu, ukipiga picha kutoka juu inakuanga hivi. Kuna kitu imetokelezea hapa. Alafu kuna hizi wide parts. Ukiangalia from the side, lateral view, this is how it appears. Okay? Ukiangalia from the ventral ni hii side ya chini karibu. Sasa ukiangalia uko side ya your voice box hapa mbele ya neck inakaa hivi. Okay? Ukiangalia from the dorsal view, hii side ya mgongo sasa ya nyuma ya neck, dorsal, this how it looks like. Okay? Then you look at it from the lower side, toka chini, posterior, this is how it appears. So make sure that you are able to know that, so that you're able to know that. Now, we come back. So it is the second bone of the cervical vertebra, the neck bones. Now, what are some of the characteristics before I give you? What are some of the adaptations of the axis? Sorry, somebody, I want to get responses from you. Mtu ainue mkono aseme. Make mistake, we correct, we move. Who is this? Washira Malcolm.
It has a broad centrum and projects in front to form an odontoid process.
Okay, about broadness, not much, but having a projection. Sawa. Having a projection,
yes,
on the upper part, which we said is which view, Malcolm? Which side of the axis has a projection called the odontoid process? Which side? See the dorsal, ventral, is it the anterior, posterior? Which side has the odontoid process? Malcolm.
I think dorsal.
Dorsal. Malcolm. Haujaelewa
Ventral.
views, Malcolm.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Let me repeat. Sawa. Let me. Nimrod.
It fits well in the ventral side of the neural canal of the atlas.
Jamaa mnaniangusha. Kwa sababu I thought you have understood.
Anterior.
Anterior. Acha niwaambie kitu Sawa. Kama ukiangalia bones of the vertebral column. Sawa, veins zinajipanga. Sawa. The upper side, upper yenye inaangalia juu inakuanga anterior. Sawa. The lower side ya chini inakuwa posterior. Sawa. Side yenye ina face kifua, the front side inakuanga ventral. Sawa. Side ya mgongo, ipo ni kwa vertebral column zote. Side ya mgongo inaitwa dorsal. Sawa. So the side that has the odontoid process, okay, is the upper side. Hata ukiangalia hapa. Ukiangalia kwa hii diagram, part C ni odontoid process. Inakuanga inaangalianga side ya juu. Sawa. So it's found on the anterior side. Side ya juu. Ukichukua picha, whatever is, ukiangalia bone ya kwanza, whatever you are able to see at the front part here, at the anterior side, is the odontoid process. Malcolm, Nimrod, are we there?
Yes.
So it has the odontoid process.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
The odontoid process, it fits into which side of the of
It
the
fits on the posterior side of the atlas. Okay, this is the atlas. Are you seeing this image on my screen?
yes.
That is the lower side, the posterior. Whatever you're able to see is the posterior side. Umeona? Wacha niona kama kuna image niliweka mbili za atlas na axis. Sawa sawa. If I get them, I will try to use them to make some comparison. Let me see. So that you are able to see and appreciate what we can do, because now I will do that one in our next. I wanted to put the atlas and the axis side by side. Let me see. I cannot do that one while I'm sharing my screen here. Let me see. Let me try to form a new slide. Yeah. And I borrow this atlas, I put it there. So, and then where do I get a good axis? Let me try to find the good axis so that you guys can appreciate this. Actually getting a very good axis bone. Can we assume this one? Let me see if we can assume this one. Yeah. We can assume, where is that? See if we can assume this one here. But this is not a very good one. I'm not seeing it as a very good one. Let us assume, Nimrod and your friend, the rest of the class, this projection is called the odontoid process. Sawa. You able to see? Let me try to. The first one is the atlas, the second one is the axis. Right? Are we there? Hello? Yes. So this is the lower side. Whatever is on the east side, this is the lower side of the atlas. We call it the posterior side. This is the upper side of the axis. The projection is called the odontoid process. It comes and fits. Are you seeing this side here? The side up in a smooth. It fits there. And these things easy hapa zinakaa smooth on the sides. Zinaingia hapa kwa hizi facets. Hiyo part ya juu hapa zinakaa hapa. So the axis articulates with the atlas, articulates with the axis from its posterior side, from the lower side. Sawa. From the lower side. I don't know if I've answered your question, Malcolm.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, sawa. So hii kitu ona hii, you look at the view number 3, the ventral view. Hiyo kitu inaitwa nini? Odontoid process hiyo. Ukiangalia hata view number 2, lateral view, hiyo kitu imetokea hapo juu. Inaingia, alafu this wing like things inakuja zinaingia hapa. Inaingia I don't know where this diagram must have appeared too. Inakuja zinaingia hapa kwa hii. Hiyo inaingia hapa ndani, hizo zinaingia hapa around. Sawa. Tuko sawa. Are we together?
Yes.
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 So can we move?
Yes.
Can we move? Yes. Another adaptation. So tumesema axis iko na odontoid process. Hiyo kitu imeproject hivi. That odontoid process. So tunasema the centrum on the anterior side. The centrum of the axis on the anterior side, on the upper side, is projected to form an odontoid process to allow for articulation with the atlas vertebra. Correct. Another adaptation in axis. Somebody. Axis adaptation. Somebody. Hey, please tell me when the obvious.
Wide neural canal.
Wide neural canal.
Okay. Because hiyo tuliascribe kwa atlas. Let us tuachane nayo kwanza. Of course, it is not as wide as that of the atlas. Chana na kwanza.
Reduce centrum.
No. The centrum equal reduced as much. So on the upper side, it's projected from the odontoid process. On the lower side, it is not reduced, it's wide. I want to show you. I want you guys to be able to appreciate these things equally. Nataka kuangalia the last view, the posterior view. Posterior view. So part J is the centrum. Is it reduced? Is it?
No.
No, it is not.
No.
So that's not correct. Somebody.
It has two vertebral canals.
They're called vertebral canals. You mentioned they are found in the vertebral column. So vertebra arterial canals. Those are for passage of the vertebral vessels and nerves. Another person. I want you to look at the structure. Naona ukiangalia dorsal view. Hii kitu ya nyuma, unajua kitu unaonanga kutoka huko nyuma sana ni nini? Ni inaitwa spine, neural spine. Sawa. How is neural spine structured? Nataka uangalie ya juu, alafu nataka uangalie pia posterior view. Hii kitu ya juu inaonekana hapa ni neural spine. How is it? Neural spine.
Short.
Neural spine. Is it short?
Thick.
Okay.
Broad.
It is broad, right?
Broad.
It is kind of flattened, and it looks broad. It looks large. You compare it with the others. It is flattened neural spine that is broad, and it's for attachment of neck muscles. Okay. Look at the transverse process. What can you comment about the transverse processes? Are these long? Are they short?
Reduced.
So it has small and short transverse processes for attachment of muscles. Then I want you to look at the third and the last one, the posterior view. So are you able to see the apophysis? You able to see?
Yes, we are able.
Yes. So yeah, it has this point G, the post-apophysis for articulation of the posterior vertebra. So that is, let me see what is here. Because now we go through it very fast. It has a wide neural, but not as wide. So that one is not it's a cartilage, but not a strong one. Wing-like transverse processes. It has, of course, they are short. It has broad neural spine for attachment of neck muscles. I want to believe that you have known how to identify neural spine, neural canal, centrum. Please do. So on the anterior side, the centrum extends from an odontoid process to fit in the neural canal of the axis to allow for rotation movement. So what allows you to rotate your head from side to side is that kind of articulation that is between the odontoid process and the neural canal of the axis. From a pivot joint that enables you to turn your head from side to side. But nodding was the joint that was formed between the articulation of the occipital condyles of the skull with the articulating facets of the atlas. So function of the atlas allows for rotation movement of the head, and it provides space for muscle attachment. So these are the various views of the atlas and axis, sorry. Various views. Anterior view, on anterior view, unaonanga tu odontoid process. Now these articulating facets. These are the post. Then lateral view is the side view. This is what you're able to see. Ventral ni side hii, side ya mbele. Side ya mbele inakwanga hivi. Side ya mbele. Dorsal view ni side ya mgongo. Mgongo ndio unaonanga neural spine. Hiyo. Then kutoka chini, the posterior view unaonanga hivi. Inakwanga hivi from the lower side. Are we there? Are we there?
Yes.
Please.
Could you please pardon the ventral view?
Which slide? Which slide?
Yes.
This one here.
Yes.
Yeah. This is almost okay. Tuachana na hiyo slide. We go with what you understood. So this is the axis. So on the anterior side, the front side, that's the odontoid process. The centrum has been modified from an odontoid process to fit in the neural canal of the axis. Together, that allows for a rotation movement. It has a broad neural spine of muscle attachment, like short transfer processes, muscle attachment. So functions. Number one, the joint that is formed between the atlas and the axis allows for rotation and turning the head side movement of the head. So number two, so that's turning of the head. Number two, the bone generally, it provides surface for attachment of muscles, just like that. So it's not a matter that you have everything that is on the slide. So it's about you understand what's on the slide. That's the most important thing. So for example, you have different bones. The upper side here, this upper side, which bone is this? Mtu aseme. The upper side, which bones are these? These are juu mbili. Which bone is this? Mkono juu, jibu.
Atlas.
This is the atlas. Okay. Which view is view number one? Oh, I already wrote. So this is the anterior view and this is the posterior view. Posterior ni kutoka chini, anterior ni kutoka juu. Ventral ni side ya mbele, side ya kifua. Dorsal ni side ya nyuma, side ya mgongo. When you talk about the bones of the vertebral column. Which bones are the second category? Bone W. Hiyo ni bone gani? Mtu wajibu haraka.
Axis.
Sawa. This is the anterior view and that's the posterior view. We are clear with that. So somebody will ask you then, what are the differences between the atlas and the axis? What are the differences between the atlas and the axis? So generally, most atlas bones don't have a centrum. And if it's present, it is very reduced. Hata before nifanye hivi bwana. Nipatie differences. Look at the images here and tell me the differences. We move. I want answers.
The atlas lacks a centroid.
Not centroid, centrum.
The atlas lacks an odontoid process while the axis has an odontoid process.
Okay, well, so the axis has an odontoid process. Okay, the atlas lacks. Okay, Somebody else? Another answer? I want you to look at the features that they have. Start by looking at tumeangalia about odontoid process. Somebody comment about the centrum. Somebody comment about the centrum.
Atlas has a reduced centrum while axis has a broad centrum.
Yeah, mostly Atlas bones. I want you to know that they always don't have a centrum, but if it's present, it is reduced. So axis, they have a centrum. Okay, from both sides. So that on the upper side, it forms the odontoid process. On the lower side, it forms, of course, the centrum remains.
The transverse process for atlas is broad and flat for muscle attachment, while for axis is greatly reduced.
Yeah, so atlas, they have broad, doing like transverse processes. Axis, they're short or small transverse processes. That's very true. Another answer. I hope you're differentiating that in your books. Another one. Okay,
The atlas has a short neural spine, whereas the axis has a broad neural spine.
Yes, atlas has a reduced neural spine. Reduced, we say that. The axis has a broad neural spine. That's very true. Another one.
The atlas allows nodding of the head, while the axis allows rotation of the head.
Okay, so the atlas, you can write like this, that the joint between the atlas and the cranium allows for nodding of the head, but that between the atlas and the axis allows for rotation, movement of the head. So we move down. Those are things that I expected from you. You can look at them very fast, and then we move. Can we move? Can we move?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
These are some of the images. This is the upper side of the atlas. This is not a very good image though. Just leave it like that. So what are some of the similarities between the atlas and the axis? Of course, both have the basic structural parts. We have the neural spine, neural canal, transverse process, vertebral canals, articular facets. Both have those. Whereas these bones have, I told you that when you're saying that they have the basic structure is the same. So what they differ in is the orientation of that basic structure. Orientation. The other one is like this. Orientation is what differs. Hope we are clear. So we have the other cervical. I told you that we have 7 cervical vertebrae. 2 special ones, axis, atlas axis. Then from the number 3 to number 7, now they're similar. Other cervical vertebra. So what are some of the characteristics? These are the other cervical vertebra look like. This is how they look like. So what are the characteristics of the other cervical vertebra? Number 1, of course, they have branched transverse processes. Transverse processes, cervical branched. All the other cervical vertebra branched transverse processes. As you can see, this one and this one branched. Look at this. Kwa hii shimo kuna aka kaju kuna kukameangalia chini. They are branched transverse processes. Okay. They have short neural spines, as you can see. Yeah. The neural spine is short. And of course, all of them will have adaptational canals. That is common for all of them. This is if you look at the back side, from the dorsal side, the back, this is how it appears. This is how it appears. This is the neural spine, neural spine. So it will look like. Ukiangalia kutoka nyuma. Ukiangalia from the side, the other vertebral column, bones, this is how they look like. Lateral view, side view, side view. That's how they look like. Ukiangalia from the anterior side, kutoka juu, hivi ndio zinakaa. You look at them from chini, kutoka chini, posterior side, so zinakaa. Sawa. Hello. Please keep those views in mind. Vinasumbuanga wanafunzi sana. So keep them in mind. So this was 20. Now, before you go to 2015, just want to ask, if you're asked, for example, to discuss the adaptations of the cervical vertebra to their functions, how will you describe that? Because that's a possible question. Hands in the air. No hands. Ivan.
Could you say that they have vertebral canals to allow passage of blood vessels?
They have vertebral canals for passage of the blood, vertebral vessels. Somebody else? What to mute? People to mute. Liban, fellow, Sabbi. Fellow. Yes, Albert, you want to answer something? If you don't, please mute.
Has centrum to allow passage of the spinal cord.
Centrum. Albert, centrum passage of the spinal cord. Have you
large neural canal for passage of large spinal cord?
Tuachane kwanza na large neural canals. Of course it will be there, but tuachane nao kwanza. Talk about the others that are more specific. Fellow, you want to answer something?
No.
Then mute. Anybody else? You have said they have short neural spines. You have said that for attachment of muscles. So they have branched transverse processes to provide surface area for muscle attachment. Tumesema hivyo. They have pre and post facets to articulate with the adjacent vertebra. They have pre-facets, post-facets. I want you to look at this. For example, hii bone ya kwanza ukiangalia from the dorsal side, kuna hii side ya juu A. Those are the presbyophyses. Presbyophyses. Ukiangalia from the lower side, H. Think so. Those are the post-apophyses on the lower side. Particularly the adjacent vertebra. So. A solid centrum, of course. They have a solid centrum from both sides, from the anterior side and the posterior side. And that one is to provide firm support. So that is about the cervical vertebra. I want us to I will not go to the thoracic vertebra. Tutamalizia hapa. I want us to go back. Now, if you're told general adaptations of the cervical vertebra, now you talk about presbyophyses and post-apophyses, particularly with the other vertebra. Presence of a wide neural canal, wide, not just neural canal, but wide neural canal, part of the spinal cord. They have now you go to whichever of them. Kama unaongea kwa axis unasema it has a wide neural spine for attachment of muscles. I didn't put specifics because I was doing a general adaptation. But then it's good that you become specific. Discuss the adaptation of the vertebra to their functions. Be specific. Answer atlas and the axis and the cervical. Other cervical vertebra. Don't go general, inaweza kusumbua kidogo. So identify them with specific names. Otherwise, I'll not go to the thoracic vertebra. I hope we have learned, right? So next time you attend class, come to class in time. I want to stop here from here. If there is any question, I will appreciate to answer, and then we finish our class. Is there any question? Kuna swali? Hakuna swali. So I wish you well. You guys have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shukran.
Thank you.
Thank you for the lesson.
Thank you.
Thank you.